road, Josh, and I'm going to find it. Let's go to number 35. Tiananmen Square, 30 years later. And the only reason I want to bring this up right now, and then we'll get it off the screen and we'll talk about it later. It's 30 years later, Tiananmen Square, and we all remember the pictures of this young guy, I think he was a student, standing in front of this tank, June 5th, 1989. As we remember that, I understand, now this is what I understand, that this has been erased from the history books in China. Okay? That China has completely erased this from the history books. And what I understand, that their social media is being reviewed. There's all kinds of catchwords put in their search words, I guess, put into their social media there to catch anyone discussing Tiananmen Square so they can squash it. Okay? And again, they've erased it out of the history books for the kids. It doesn't even show up, as my understanding. Folks, you need to start the day out and not be naive to think that we have not erased out of our history books our founding fathers, that we have not erased out of our schools teaching them civics and the Constitution and alter so many things. We have rewritten wars in this country with documentaries. So all I say to you is, I remember this day, and if you're young out there and you tune in the show, we're glad to have you. Obviously, if you're under 30, you don't remember this day. Obviously, if you're my age and older, we remember very clearly that day when that student, I think it was a student, stood in front of that tank at Tiananmen Square. But today, as you hear that the Chinese, listen to these people. This is why I despise our media. I absolutely despise them. They are going to tell you, as they discuss this, it's been erased from the history books in China. And what the Chinese communist government is trying to do to completely squash it as though it never happened. Whoa! Have you read our history books? Have you been able to take a chance to see what your children are being taught, that they altered our history in our, what I call, public communist school system? I'm just saying. Josh, let's put that out as a little clip, okay? Because I kind of really want people to think about when they're being sold by the deep state media, how it's altered in China. Just stop for a minute and look at how the history in this country has been altered in our kids' books, history books, and what we're doing to you know what? Damn it. Let me just stay a little longer, Josh. I hope you hadn't cut that yet. You gotten to know me yet. Confederate flag. I'm going to get angry. And this is not, we choose how we want to look at these other countries. We choose how we want to judge their governments. We choose how we are going to address human rights and all this stuff around the world. But as you hear in these little brief snippets of the radio news at the top of the hour, they'll have it in there. As you hear CNN and many of these these total, complete dumbasses talk about how the Chinese are totally erasing the history of Tiananmen Square. What the hell you think we're trying to do, taking down every Confederate flag in the United States? What do you think we're trying to do, tearing down every Confederate monument in the United States? Just stop and think. I won't go on and on of how much of this country's history that we are erasing for our children. For what reason? So they all could get a coexist bumper sticker with their high school diploma? That's what the hell they're doing in those schools, whether you believe it or not. You won't get involved in your grade schools. Now the parents, you get involved somewhat. Don't want to go there. You won't get involved. You won't get involved in the middle schools. You won't get involved in the high schools. But let me tell you something. The United States of America's communist public school system, damn it, friggin' China communist, you have lost your damn mind. If you think the socialist countries, the communist countries, you better go and look at your communist public school system and see what they're being taught. Because I'm going to tell you, with that high school graduation, they're doing everything they can to slide in that coexist bumper sticker and forget the hell what happened in American history. That's my opinion. Many may not like it, but I just had to say it when I first heard this. China is erasing Tiananmen Square from all of their books and schools and history and libraries and everywhere. Wonder where else that's happening at. Tell you what I'm going to do. I've never done this before in the show. I want to come back with something something I really enjoy, and I don't want to enter it this way. So let me take my first little break here. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, and my mood will be a little different. I promise.